Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy Jonathan Macri with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. Coming at you, I believe Media Day has concluded. If it's still going on, we wouldn't know because the Knicks don't announce or televise anything. So shout out to the beat reporters doing their duty over at Tarrytown. I am joined by two friends and two special guests today. I've been introducing Andrew for a long time, so I'm just going to introduce DJ first. Hi, DJ. How are you?
I'm good. It's been fun, as you said, following along with our intrepid beat writers covering the Knicks, trying to get an idea of what's been going on in Media Day. But, the season is basically here for all intents and purposes, and it's a very exciting time for sure.
I really enjoyed going on the YouTube, the Knicks official YouTube channel earlier this morning, trying to search for hey, did they have something scheduled or whatever? And seeing that the most recent live thing was in 2022 and it was not called Media Day, it was called Content Day. Remember that little bit where they were like, we're going to one up the media by having our own thing on the same day that the NBA requires us to have a different thing.
Got to control the message.
Always got it. Listen, it's 1984 every year. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Terrible, John. How are you? It's a Mets thing, DJ. No, they're off. So they finally had a day where they didn't disappoint me. I'm ready, very ready for the Knicks to be back in our lives, which is why I welcomed the very pointless exercise that was Knicks Media Day. But let's talk about it.
I'm going to push back right off the bat. I would give this, as far as meaty, #meaningful content, I would give today somewhere between a C+ and a B-. I'm a generous grader, so I'm going to give it a B-. DJ, what grade would you give it?
I think a B- is fair. Maybe a C+. I mean, there were a couple of things that I thought were instructive for what we could be seeing. I think Mike Brown specifically had some interesting comments, also very guarded in some areas regarding starting lineup, which I think was the number one question for most Knicks fans coming into Media Day, although we all think we knew he wasn't going to divulge that information this early. He may not even know what he's going to do with the starting lineup, but he mentioned, the idea of getting Jalen Brunson off the ball, getting him some more clean catch and shoot threes, which has been a theme for me for now a couple of seasons. So, that and, Josh Hart being injured basically, and then it's may linger into the season. That's also another thing to sort of monitor. So there were some things to sort of chew on a little bit.
Andrew, I'm assuming you're giving this one an F or an F-.
An incomplete. What I don't know. Look, I don't want to poo-poo on anybody's fun. Okay,
that's exactly what you're doing. But continue.
Yes, you're right. I hate fun. That is the established roles that we've.
Thank God for me
here at Knicks. Yes, the master of fun.
Mets lose a few games now. Andrew is the miserable
nothing matters. Yes, my nihilism is creeping out. DJ, look, I did not think we were going to get a starting five announcement today. I figured we would get the same thing that Jalen and Josh said about Tibbs when they were on their pod and said the same thing. Mike Brown said he wanted to play fast and the ball would be in Jalen Brunson's hands and wanted to get him more off-ball threes. I'm quoting things he said in his intro presser 2 months ago. These are not new developments that I learned today. If I got a starting lineup change or a starting lineup announcement, that was a development. It very much was, let's go through the exercise of introductions and get the season started, which is the exciting thing about today.
So this is where me and you differ, Andrew. I'm able to do something called read between the lines, whereas you just see black, white, maybe a shade of gray or two. And thank God that you have me here to get into the nuance of what we're really dealing with. First, before we move any further, listen, man, I love kicking a good man while he's down, and you are down bad right now, brother.
I just want to know what I missed, apparently, from we're very well media trained Knicks team. Mikal Bridges, that's right. He said things. That's right. I forgot. He said all those things.
We're gonna get into it. Before we do, a quick programming note. If you tuned in expecting to hear us talk about the third greatest or third top Nick of the last 25 seasons, that discussion is coming, but we want to do the media day thing first. As a reminder, be sure to follow Knicks Film School wherever you get your social media. at Knicks Film School. That is SKOOL. If you're watching on YouTube right now, thank you for watching. Make sure you turn on those alerts so the next time we go live, you can be alerted to that. Unlike the Knicks, who don't do anything live on their YouTube channel. Subscribe, rate, review, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, sign up for bonus content either on Substack, so you could read me every day, or Patreon, where you get to hear me and DJ and Benji spout wisdom on a regular basis. Okay.
I take back everything I said.
Yeah.
BKG has the right comment here. You missed Josh Hart revealing his finger is still fucked up. You know what? I'm wrong. We get an A+ for today. That's investigative journalism that we did by taking a picture of his hand.
Well, speaking of investigative journalism, we're going to get to Hart in a second, because I agree that is the most notable thing to come out of Media Day. Ian Begley just filed a story in which he notes, in regards to the starting lineup, before Mike Brown was hired, the Knicks talks with some free agents included the idea that Towns and Robinson would be starting together in 2025-26 season. I don't know about you guys. I feel like the tea leaves that I have tried to pick up on over the last few months, I've certainly become of the opinion that the Knicks are going to, or at least coming into training camp, Mike Brown was of the opinion that he's going to lean towards a starting lineup with Mitch in it. DJ, you on the same page as me?
I think right now that's where I would lean. Yes.
Okay. Andrew?
Yeah, I would lean that way too. He also said things about playing fast and playing small, which leave the door open for me to wait until they actually play a game.
Very fair. So let's start with the Hart thing, because that's the only piece of news, quote unquote, that came out of Media Day. I was going back and forth with Jason, nothing's better than going back and forth with Jason on Twitter. And he's complaining already that if Josh Hart's finger is fucked up, why not get the surgery now? And you get a month where you're not playing real games and you get that time to heal. It sounds like he wants to see if he could play through it. And then if he can't play through it, there was some allusion to the fact that, and for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, Josh Hart had a procedure on a finger this summer. I guess there was something either during the procedure or after the procedure that has left the finger not as it should be, and he is going to have to wear a splint. So he's going to try to play through it. And then, yes, it feels like there was the illusion of like, if it's really bad, maybe he'll get a procedure done during the season, although he didn't actually say that. That's what I'm just kind of assuming, because obviously if it's really affecting him, that's what he should do. I don't have a huge issue with this. Do either of you guys? Because I think that this is fine.
Well, I mean, it's just concerning. I mean, there's a picture I saw.
The injury is concerning. His approach. Let me be. I'm sorry, I wasn't clear.
Right.
His approach to it, I don't have an issue with.
I don't think that. Yeah, this seems like to be something to where it would make sense to try to play through it. It's a shooting hand. A guy that is already sort of struggling. Yeah, and that's from last season, or this is from
today.
This is from. That's a jacked up finger.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're not watching on YouTube, I mean,
that's gnarly.
Yeah, so that's his ring finger on his right hand, with significant swelling around the knuckle closest to his the tip of his finger. That is. It's like there's a little fig in his knuckle. Yeah.
And then the rest of his finger makes a right or a left, whatever it is.
It makes a turn, a sharp turn.
I mean, DJ, you know from playing, this is a common, like you jam your finger on a rebound or on another player. Like this is a thing that happens all the time when you play basketball. I want to interrupt. Finish what you were saying, DJ.
Yeah, well, it feels like if he already had an injury and then he had the procedure and then re-injured it. I mean, I'm not obviously no doctor. It would seem to me that there is some structural things going on there that is going to make it more susceptible to maybe to further injury. So listen, he's getting the best medical advice. So he's obviously been told that you could theoretically play through this. So I don't have an issue with that. I'm just based on what we're seeing visually at Media Day regarding the finger. It's a big concern for a guy that whether he starts or not is going to be a massively important player on this team.
I was about to take some notes on what DJ was saying because I uncovered my nifty Knicks notepad, which I think I got when I was like 14. And I realized I didn't bring a pencil or a pen. So We're going to just look at the notepad for now. I don't know.
I got a thing of pens.
Thanks so much. You want to run over here with?
You got it.
Okay. I don't know what else there's to say about Josh Hart. He's going to try to play through it, and we'll see how it goes.
I am concerned, by the way, if anybody cares about my opinion on what happened with Josh Hart. I know you only wanted to hear what DJ had to say, but I actually am concerned. And if DJ, you said the thing, I would trust the best medical staff in the league over my opinion. But a guy that tries to play through pain and is hesitant to shoot the ball, I would like to see that this doesn't hinder him. And if we're a week in and he's 1 for 7 from 3, which I'm more concerned about the 7 than the 1, I'm going to be very concerned that Josh Hart's game is affected by this. If he's avoiding contact because he's got a jacked up finger, if he's not playing as aggressive as we like the way Josh Hart to play, it's why it's going to play out on the court. I will trust the very highly touted medical staff to know more than I do, though, but it is a concern of mine.
I thought you had shared your opinion of this already when you were making comments about the finger, but
I just put the thing on the screen. That's all I did.
Listen, you guys have to fight again. I'm trying to stay in between, literally, figuratively, between the two of you. Since I
have not mentioned the name Karl-Anthony Towns yet.
Yeah, let's keep it calm.
We're gonna get to Cat. Here's my hot take. My hot take is that maybe this is a blessing in disguise, because if Josh Hart has to go out for a period of time to get a procedure, or if his shooting is just not to the point where it's serviceable, maybe that is the thing that leaves the door open, or makes it easier, makes it more palatable for Mike Brown to make a starting lineup change, which I don't know. I'm kind of wouldn't mind seeing at this point, but
the last thing before we move on, the Knicks don't have a ton of wings on their roster, and that's with Josh Hart healthy. If you remove him, and I'm talking about the wings that can guard a 3, they can guard a 4, like those guys. Knicks don't have a lot of them, and if you want to account Yabusele in that mix, I think that's kind of a stretch. But
I'm not.
So if Hart's going to miss significant time or be hampered, I mean, their wing depth already is going to be right off the bat compromise, and that is a concern for a team that has a lot of guards and wing-ish players, but your true wings, it's Anunoby, it's Bridges, it's Hart, and then you just hope for the best. So that's why when I said Hart is, whether he starts or not, is just a very important piece of this team, because they just don't have a ton of wings in their room right now.
So I don't want to go too far off the deep end right off the bat, but I will point out that yet again, in this column that Ian Begley just dropped, Deuce McBride's name was brought up as a, not, I don't want to say as a trade candidate, but in writing about the possible ways that the Knicks could open up more room under the second apron to accommodate both the salaries of, I would assume, Landry Shamet and Malcolm Brogdon. Deuce McBride's name was put right there alongside Tyler Kolek and Pacome Dadier. Now, I understand if you want to be like, well, he's just doing that because those 3 players all make Andrew just went away. He's sick of me. Those players don't make a lot of money. So he's doing his due diligence. He went away again. But
I'm saying goodbye to my wife who's leaving for the day. I will be right back, Jonathan.
Listen, that's fine.
I will be back to deal with my work wife in a second.
Tell your work wife that I know. I was saying, tell your real wife that I've been your work wife for longer than she's been your actual wife. So if one of the two of us is allowed to get sick of you, it's me before her. I don't care that she lives with you. Anyway, also shout out to Steph Bondi. Stephen Bondi has brought this up a few times in recent articles and podcast appearances. Again, not saying that Deuce McBride is a trade candidate, but just alluding to the possibility. I'm trying to use my words very carefully here.
Yeah.
You just brought up the lack of wing depth. Fred VanVleet of the Houston Rockets just went down with what seems like it will be a season-ending injury yesterday. That is a team that has designs on competing for a championship this season. Deuce McBride is not Fred VanVleet. We don't need to talk about that anymore. He's not, but he is a guard. And if the Knicks, and meanwhile, Tari Eason is a player that I'm not the first person to mention. Many Knicks fans have mentioned, hey, is there a swap there that makes sense? Tari Eason's a wing. He is also extension eligible, much like Deuce will be as of December 31st of this year. Just that, again, there are might be possibilities out there that, depending on your view of McBride, depending on your view of how this team should play, I could see at least, I don't know, I could see maybe this becoming a thing. That's all.
Yeah. Well, two things. One, McBride extension eligible, so that might play a part in
December 31st.
December 31st. So that's coming up in a couple of months. And then regarding Tari Eason, I understand the affection some Knicks fans have for him. I just wonder about him as a player in a Mike Brown system. I don't think Mike Brown necessarily, and if he comes here and plays amazingly, maybe I'll be proven wrong, but it doesn't seem like a player that would necessarily flourish in an offense designed on quick decision-making and shooting and spacing. And so I do wonder about the fit there, but theoretically it would make some sense. And we also don't know what Houston, how they view a Deuce McBride in terms of handling some of that lead guard duties over there. But yeah, I mean, Deuce is an interesting case when the extension is on the table. Potentially, you wonder about a guy that took a well below market deal for several seasons is going to want to make some of that up in a renegotiation potentially with the Knicks. So.
It would be a renegotiation, but it's a little fuzzy now because it's up to 140% of the average NBA player's salary in the season in which the extension begins, which actually won't happen for a year and a half after he signs the damn thing. So by the time the extension kicks in, the first year of that extension should be well north of $20 million a year, which I'm not sure the Knicks are running to give that to Deuce McBride. So look, I'm getting far afoul. My apologies. But in regards to the starting lineup, I thought Josh Hart being very, I don't say he was talking out of both sides of his mouth, because he wasn't. He was being very clear. He will do what the team requires. He talked all last season about selflessness. He's going to be selfless and the whole thing. But he was also unequivocal in saying, I view myself as a starter. I'm a starter in this league. And he also made sure to mention that he's coming off the best season of his career. Now, I think there are probably some varying opinions on whether, how Knicks fans feel about Josh Hart last season versus some other seasons. DJ, do you want to say something?
Well, yeah, it's like, is the best season for Josh Hart the best for the New York Knicks?
There you go.
Which is, you have your best individual season and it not necessarily be the most valuable for the team you're playing for. I think that's where I think a lot of people push back on that.
Andrew, we've both heard a lot about Josh Hart offline. Again, I think I know what you're going to say. His tone during that answer, or his verbiage during that answer, didn't concern you in the slightest.
No.
Okay.
No,
that's fair.
Josh Hart's not a person I'm ever going to worry about, like, doing what's best for the team, taking a role that
I
might
agree.
not be what's like I know the thing I did note from his comments about Tibbs was that he said he put me in a position to get paid. Not like best position to win, best position for my career. It was just position to get paid. But I mean, he's apparently the one that went to Tibbs and finally said, like, take me out of the starting five in the playoffs. So I'm never worried about Josh Hart when it comes to on the court, like worrying about his role, complaining about his role in that sense.
I'm not worried about him complaining. I more look at this sort of thing as like, this analogy could be wildly off base, but like an NBA locker room is like a Jenga tower, a healthy locker room. And if you poke one block out, it shouldn't affect the integrity of the Jenga tower. And like, to me, if Josh Hart has to get demoted to the bench, that's like poking a block out. It shouldn't affect anything, but it is one block that has been displaced, and it's a new coach. And like, the more, hopefully there's no blocks that get poked, and he loves going to the bench. You see where I'm going with this.
So DJ, it's been a long time since I've played Jenga, but when you poke the block out, you then take the block and put it someplace else, right?
Correct. On top.
So you're just putting Josh Hart in a different spot on the tower.
Yes.
You bastardized the analogy. It's a shame.
Or it made it make sense to what I'm saying, that Josh Hart will just fit in to a different role and be completely fine. If you take one of the foundational pieces out, which there's your nuance. Is Josh Hart a foundational piece?
Sure.
Like, will the whole thing collapse? But I think it's fine.
Look, I'm not concerned about it, but he could have gotten up there and said, I don't care whether I start or not. Let me put this story to bed right now. He didn't say that. And the fact that he didn't say that, and I know Josh Hart says whatever the hell's on his mind, which we never had to worry about under the previous head coach.
Right. Well, that's the thing. That was the leash. It wasn't just the on-court stuff. Tibbs did give Hart the leash to say whatever he wanted to say and brush it all off. We don't know what Mike Brown is going to feel about Josh Hart speaking his mind whenever he wants, whenever he seems to want to. So I think that is where when you talk about the off the court stuff, the dichotomy between coach and player, that's where it can get a little squirrely a bit, because I think Josh Hart has been, he was given a lot of freedom under Tom Thibodeau. He may get the same freedom under Mike Brown, but it's likely going to be very different. And I think he's going to have to figure out how to adjust to that. And then Mike Brown is also going to have to figure out how to coach a guy that is accustomed to a certain way of playing and operating and dealing with the media and all those things. So I think both player and coach have to figure this relationship out. And it's early, and I'm guessing it's going to be fine, but we're going to have to see it. And that to me is at least something to monitor. Not a concern, but just something to look at.
That's all it is.
Am I missing something? Like, the second part of the quote is him saying, yeah, whatever Mike Brown wants to do or doesn't want to do, I'm cool with. It would be extremely selfish for me to go out there and demand to start. Like, he said all the correct things.
And if you want to say the first part of the quote in which he says, I'm a starter in this league. I'm pretty sure I got that line right.
Yeah, I'm a starter in this league. I think I deserve to be a starter in the league. Yeah.
If you want to put that under the umbrella of Josh Hart wants to make sure everybody listening knows that he's a confident individual and that's all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Then there's literally nothing to worry about, because for all we know, after he got off that dais, he went right up to Mike Brown and was like, hey man, just so you know, whatever you want to do, like, I'm cool with, I just want to win. Maybe that's the case. We don't know. That's all. It's like so much stuff. We just don't know.
He said that exact same quote. I'm a starter in this league. I believe I'm a starter, when Tibbs took him out of the starting five in the playoffs. This is what he said under Tom Thibodeau too.
I know.
I wouldn't read into the quote too much. I believe he believes in himself. Good. I believe in myself too. I also believe he will do what's best for the Knicks. That's where I am at the end of the day.
I think we're all in agreement on that. He will do what's best for the Knicks. And
I agree.
On that note, we could move on to what I found. Speaking of getting used to a different way of going about their business, the most interesting quote of the day from Jalen Brunson when asked about getting used to Mike Brown's system. It's going to take some time. I'm excited to learn more about his philosophies and concepts, which I read that part and I chuckled as I did now a little bit, because it almost sounds like it's like when you talk to two people who had some sort of a meeting or are getting ready to enter into a partnership, and one person's like all gung-ho and everything, and the other person is just taking a little bit more of a cautious approach. It feels like Jalen Brunson is being the slightly more cautious approach. Where I find it particularly interesting is we had Mike Brown getting up there, and DJ, you quote tweeted this with the notion of getting Jalen Brunson more catch and shoot threes, which we know he could be extremely successful in an offense that gets him more catch and shoot threes, because he did it with Julius Randle, who we may or may not be talking about in a little while. And that was brilliant, because what did Jalen Brunson shoot on catch and shoot threes that season? Like 45% or some ridiculous number?
Yeah, it was over 40%.
Yeah, it was a really good number. Then you got Cat going up there a little bit later and talking about it and making a comparison to Steph Curry. And while I would love for Jalen Brunson to emulate Steph Curry and some of the things he does, Steph Curry moving on, like getting quote unquote off ball threes, is a very different animal from the sort of off ball threes that Jalen Brunson was getting off of Julius Randle. So I was just curious what you guys thought of this, and if, again, any level of concern about, are all the parties of importance on the same page?
Yeah, I'll take it quick. I think they're going to be on the same page. I've heard certain media members talk about, whether or not Jalen Brunson is going to be willing to sort of cede some of the on-ball usage in the Mike Brown system. And I don't have any concerns over this. I feel like Jalen Brunson literally will do anything required if it's going to make the team better and give them a better chance to win. So I don't think that'll be an issue in terms of the willingness to play the way Mike Brown wants to play. And it's going to be a give and take. And Mike Brown did allude to the fact that when it's clutch time, Jalen Brunson is going to have the ball in his hands. So I think was maybe a bit of just a message to his superstar. Like, listen, it's going to change a little bit, but when it's nut crushing time, it's going to be very similar to how you operated under Tom Thibodeau. So it's not all going to be different, but in terms of, the first 45 minutes or 40 minutes of the game, I do think giving Jalen Brunson more time off the ball is going to be advantageous to everyone. And yeah, it's not going to be Steph Curry. No, because no one is Steph Curry. And I didn't see the cat quote or hear it. I thought he was comparing himself to Steph Curry, which wouldn't put it past him.
I was about to say, don't put anything past Cat.
Yeah. But yeah, if you're going to, I think Jalen Brunson did, in that 23-24 season, the second half, the post-Julius team did get accustomed to more off-ball usage in terms of just giving him angles and driving gaps off the ball to come back and get it. So I don't think this will be a foreign concept. And if they play faster, that should lend itself to more Jalen Brunson easy offense, which just needs to be the focus of this offense, because you just need him to have a sustainable season, not just his best individual season statistically, but a season that is going to allow him to carry it over through how many games they end up playing, the full 82 plus, hopefully a lot more in the playoffs. I think that is where Mike Brown's coming from. And I think that's the right approach.
Mr. Claudio?
You said it, DJ. What I care about most is how they look in crunch time, because that was the biggest point of frustration I had last year. How heavy ISO it was with Brunson, how little Cat was involved in the offense in crunch time. I want to see what that looks like, and already hearing the ball be in Jalen Brunson's hands isn't a cause for concern. It's notable. It's also not a bad idea. Give the ball to the clutch player of the year in crunch time. There are opportunities to find offense and catch and shoot opportunities and playing with more pace. And we saw this a little bit in summer league, that they were getting the ball over half court in like 6 seconds, 5 seconds, rather than like just getting across at the 16-second mark. So I believe Jalen Brunson, to what Kat said, is going to have a lot of fun this year in a much more advanced and high-powered offense. My thing to look for is what they look like in crunch time, though, personally.
The only thing I'll say, and then I think we could close the book on media day, unless there's anything else you guys want to hit on, is Tom Thibodeau was a great coach for Jalen in the sense that he pushed him to be the best version of himself that Jalen always kind of, I think, envisioned was the best version of himself. Like, Tibbs pushed him to lean into the tendencies that already were strengths and said, hey man, like, I think of you a hell of a lot more than just as a backup point guard who's now getting a starting job. Like, you could be a top 5 player in this league. And he emboldened him to go do all the things that he was already doing, except do a lot more of them. And yes, expand his game in certain areas that made sense for him to expand his game, i.e. the pull-up 3-point shooting. Mike Brown, it sounds like he's going to challenge him in a slightly different way and push him to be a different version of a player than he's been. And I'm curious how that adjustment goes. I agree with both of you that nobody cares about winning more than Jalen Brunson, but even if you care about winning more than anything, it doesn't mean it's not a tricky adjustment. I'm sure it is going to be tricky in some respects for him. So, but he's Jalen Brunson, so he'll be fun. Anything else?
Well, I'll just say is, like, if your goal is to give Jalen Brunson as much space and room and pace to operate, then it does sort of contradict maybe a double big look. And that's where I think I go back to, if you're going to have Cat be a hub of your offense in a Sabonis-esque way, and Jalen Brunson in the way that you would use De'Aaron Fox, is have him loaded up in the right corner and come flying off a pin down into a dribble handoff with Sabonis, and you can run offense through that. That is harder if Mitchell Robinson is hanging out in the dunker spot. So I do think there is going to be a push and pull with how do you maximize the offense, Towns as a passing hub, Brunson as an off-ball operator, with the idea that you need to have another big playing with Karl-Anthony Towns to hold up defensively. And I think that is the ultimate question, I think, going into the season right now.
Yeah. Andrew, last words on media day?
I'm excited that there's a blue and orange team that hasn't disappointed me yet back in my life. Okay. That's where I am with Knicks Media Day. Welcome back into my life, New York Knicks.
There you go. It's a shame the Jets can't wear blue and orange uniforms as well.
Who?
Sorry. I think you're hearing things.